gobsmacked, you know. It's a wake-up call. Getting gobsmacked is a wake-up call.
John Allen,
Yeah.
Gobsmacked. Gobsmacked is your show, yes?
Gobsmacked is the show. Gobsmacked is the whole experience. The book, it takes the village idiot.
Liverpool, yeah. Liverpool, lovely town, Liverpool. I remember my first evening in a pub in Liverpool. This geezer at the bar next to me goes, you know, he had like a couple of black eyes and he had bandages everywhere and tattoos all over his face. He's going, where the fuck are you from? I said, near Buxton. Buxton? Where the fuck is Buxton? I said, it's you know, Pennine Mountains. Where? I said, Derbyshire. Oh, fucking Derbyshire. You're a woolly back then, aren't you? You're a woolly back. I'm like, I don't know. What's a woolly back? Well, all the sheep out there, yeah? Sheep, yeah, woolly back. You're a sheep shagger. Well, I'd heard sheep shagger many times, but I'd never heard woolly back, and I thought it actually had a kind of a sensitive ring to it. You know, it's not quite so, you know, vulgar as a sheep shagger. And so I decided to stay in Liverpool. I mean, everywhere else I was a sheep shagger, and Liverpool was a woolly back. And I thought it sounded better to me, so I decided to stay. And I became a sort of an honorary Liverpudlian woolly back sheep shagger. When I moved up to Liverpool, I was barely just 18. A boarding house in Waterloo where the landlady played the Queen. My roommate were a wanker, his mother's pride and joy. He wouldn't put it down, he was a bloody clown. It was his favourite and only toy. The place nearly drove me crazy with that old bag landlady, treating me like her least favourite son, till I told her it's her bollocks and an alcoholic frolic, and I moved in downtown with Joe Mallon. Joe, he were a wild one, from the County Monaghan, took the boat to Liverpool to become a learned man. He worked hard, that is drinking, but his studies went awry. He spent every night up at Parliament Street watching the slags go by. But me and Joe, we were right for fun, we'd give anything a try. The flat were like an open trap and nothing could get by. It were me and Joe, a team with a scheme, a monster of many parts. We drank, we stank, we lit up farts. We brought home huge exotic tarts. Living in Liverpool, running rife, swimming with the tide in the pool of life. Yates's Wine Lodge on a Saturday night, then up at Parliament Street for a drink, dance and a fight. Yeah, when I moved up to Liverpool, I was barely just 18. A lad from the hills with not many skills and a country shade of green. But Liverpool won't suffer a fool. So listen what I say. You're going to move there? Yeah. You better take care to learn the Liverpool way. Liverpool Lime Street on a Saturday night. There's always some drunken bastard looking for a fight. Kids from the mill towns on the run, playing in the arcades and thinking they've won. Pints of Guinness, staring at her ear. A cheap glass stud puncturing the flesh, surrounded by ginger hair. All pink and soft like a quilted blancmange neath a perfume red gold blaze. She turned and caught me staring, and as she smiled, her eyebrows raised. Drunk, still drinking, her talking, me not thinking, we tumbled from O'Connor's to the street, where suddenly in a taxi, sucking face and groping jacksy, I became fearful of the fate that I might meet. Well, she coaxed me from the hackney like a mongrel to her bowl, led me through the doorway to her flat. She said, "Do you want some toddy?" as she took her dress off for me and pounced like a giant Buddha cat. The beer inside me shifted, me body and soul were rifted. Fear and curiosity took the helm. She dragged me through her jungle on my own private bungle. I was transported to a fearsome nether realm. She were a gaudy, bawdy, Geordie, sexed up meat machine. 300 pounds of naked flesh. Another man's wet dream. But I just started whining that I weren't feeling well and ran away home with a thumping head and a tale of woe to tell. Because sometimes when you're drinking, you find yourself thinking that you're more of a man than you are. Look at these bastards. I saw all these like skinny sort of like Hampshire. I mean, I'm not exactly buff, I know that, but I noticed these skinny Hampshire college type art students, right, with like tattoos everywhere. And I'm noticing that the tattoos, you know, they got this like tribal shit everywhere, you know, Fijian, kind of come Burmese, African, Celtic, you know, whatever, you know. I don't think they know which part of the world it is they wish they were from, but, you know, they've got all this weird arty tattooing going on. And they've got arms, yeah, they couldn't have a conventional tattooing because their arms are so skinny, you can only put one M on if you put mum on there, you know. So it occurred to me one day, the whole concept of tattoos has changed, because when I was a lad, even in my humble abode in the northern sheep-shagging hills of Derbyshire, anybody round our way that had a tattoo was a fucking psycho. And they'd have these big tattoos and very big arms to go with them. And basically, they'd walk into a pub. And this meant, fuck off, I'm hard, I'll kick your fucking teeth in if you come within an inch of me. That's what a tattoo meant. It was a warning sign. But it isn't like that anymore. It's like, look at me. I've got these tribal tattoos here and there. Aren't I pretty? I'm so pretty. I'm so pretty. Look, I've got my belly button pierced. And so I said to myself, what's happening? And I suddenly thought, what would happen if an ex-Royal Marine dock worker from the south docks of Liverpool was to come walking down Main Street and run into a couple of these art students with their tribal art? What would he say? What would they say? What would happen? I mean, probably nothing. He'd probably just walk past and go, fucking woolly back. But anyway, I imagine he might do this. He might say this. Hey, you with the fucking tattoos. Is your mum on there, a girl named Sue? I don't see any hearts or a Union Jack or a naked woman laid flat on her back. No spiders' webs or signs of pain, like boot polish razor cuts spelling out your name. No cigarette burns on your elbow pits, and your face looks like you still suck your mother's tits. Richard Dooley joined the army in 1968. In 69 they threw him out, they couldn't control his hate. Way, hey, Dick Dooley's a big barn can, he's a bad man, a madman, he don't give a damn. He'd kick you, bite you, cut you with a glass. He's not afraid of coppers, he's a mean rat's arse. Getting drunk and starting fights was Dick's idea of a life. Shirts and ties were lasses' hands on a night off from their wives. He'd insult the mothers, drag them outside and knock them to the ground, kick them in the balls and head and watch them squirm around. Now Dick, he was always on his own when he staggered home. No one ever by his side as he tumbled through the generals. And then Dick, he caught hell one night, took a steel toe to the head. They left him in a dustbin, nearly bleeding dead. So hang down your head, Dick Dooley, hang down your head and cry. You're an unloved bastard son of a bitch, and soon you're bound to die. Way, hey, Dick Dooley, you were a big barn can, a bad man, a mad man, he didn't give a damn. He'd kick you, bite you, cut you with a glass. He weren't afraid of coppers, he was a mean rat's arse. That's bastard number one. Bastard number two, on the other hand, was a double bastard on account he lived next door to me. And it gets worse, See, our next door neighbour was a butcher's shop. And his dad, Keith's dad was the drunken butcher. Keith was the drunken son of the drunken butcher.
Keith, the greasy butcher, used to smash up his cars, drinking and driving at 100 miles an hour. He'd roll into the driveway just like the devil's Ted, bleeding from his mouth and looking like the dead. Stumbling from the wreckage, he'd kick at the door, stagger 3 feet and fall flat on the floor. In the mornings, he'd awaken, cursing at the rain, stumble to the kitchen and grab a bottle for the pain. They threw him out the bull one night. He was drunk and starting fights, scaring all the women and stealing people's pints. Offended by their actions, his temper quick to rise. He stumbled home for his shotgun with destruction in his eyes. He grabbed the rifle, fell outside and staggered back to pub, mumbling how he'd teach him that he's not a man to snub. He crossed the threshold, clutching the gun in his love-hate tattooed hands, unloaded both barrels in the jukebox while dreaming of foreign lands. Plastic shattered, drunks scattered, pint pots hit the floor. The barmaid screamed as the exit teemed, as patrons crossed for the door. Number 999, the police were called. Neighbours who'd heard it were scared and appalled. But no one was surprised when they took him away, because for Keith the greasy butcher, it was just an average sort of a day.
Pack-a-macked old ladies wheezing on fags attached to swollen Tesco bags, exchanging opinions on the price of pork pies, while Woolies bargains light up their eyes. Standing in line on the bus stop rain, the smell of diesel and sausage rolls, eternal optimism is a lesson to us all. 100 pulls into the drizzle as a short fat Elvis gripping the wheel. On board there's the smell of cigarettes and Dettol mixing with a damp hum of muffled heavy metal. Turn it off, shouts Elvis as he points to a sign. No radios, no tape players, not ever any time. 'Cause the life is a journey, it's a long hard road. You twist and you turn as you carry your loads. People get tired, people get worn. Some people are broken, some people are torn. He closes the door, puts the pen to the floor, he trundles into the flow of corporation buses navigating the shoals of raincoats and umbrellas. I stare off through the window past blobs of rain and I focus on two old fellas who are coughing up phlegm from their years down the pit. They laugh as they share up a joke and a spit, struggling with a tin of roll your own backy, and you know they're their jokes on a wad or a packy. 'Cause life's a journey, a long hard road. You're twisting and turning, carrying your load. People get tired, people get worn. Some people are broken, some people are torn.
On board a woolly-back coach trip to the pleasure beach, there was a bus trip Venus. She was a country peach. She was my big cousin Sheila, heck you should have seen her. They'd crawl the Golden Mile just for a chance to feel her hand in theirs in the tunnel of love. And if they're lucky, a kiss that's going to bump their blood. Bus trip Venus on a journey through Mars, shaking off the Klingons hanging outside the bars. Bus trip Venus in her jeans, so tight she'd make a rocker go to church on a Saturday night. Bus trip Venus strolling down the prom. The boys on the bikes are shouting, "Show us your bum!" The laughing policeman's nearly lost his mind, and the candy floss salesman's about to unwind. Bus trip Venus on the Golden Mile, cruising with her handmaids like the Queen of the Nile. Bus trip Venus, summer 1968. The Doors are #1, but Sheila thinks Motown's great.
I decided to write a shanty about my adventures at sea. Though be it the estuary of the Mersey, it was pretty choppy sometimes, well, you know. I got quite seasick one afternoon and was going for an appointment at the Seamen's Clinic. Won't tell you what that was all about. Anyway, it could have been something to do with this, I guess. Drinking hot cups of tea by the cold Irish Sea, trying to keep the chilled hot aches at bay. It were raw, it were wet, it were a day to forget when I saw her climb the steps to the prom, where the brass band had long since stopped. Then tiddly on pom 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 pom. I followed her to a pub, wondering how I could afford a snub which could chill me more than any burning breeze. I tried not to worry and I asked her in a hurry something daft that made her giggle, stare and tease. She said, "Love of my good life, if you've the money I'll spend the time. A pint of things is bitter and a pint of lime and lime. We just managed to get to Brighton before the shadow time. They were chucking people out with a large hairless lout. Outside the rain still falling, she said her name was Pauline. She'd come back to my flat if it weren't a dump. Waiting on the ferry made a damp, cold smelly, still cigarettes, spilled beer or cologne. Floating on the Mersey, with me left hand up a Jersey, we kissed and sailed into the night. Caught a bus at the pier, head almost back to my bed, till she discovered it was a mattress on my best mate's kitchen floor. She said, "Is that your bed? I'd rather be dead than lay there with you tonight." I've never been so insulted, I should have been consulted before I bought you that last pint. You were me large-breasted, inexpensive whore. You flung open your big front door. I left me true love in the middle of the night, with never so much as an angry word, and certainly not a fight. I went for the easy money, I went for the easy life, but now all me days stab at me heart like a cheap and blunted knife. America, I lusted for you. America, now I'm busted for you. America, these things I've come to see. America, this is the tale of you and me. I felt New York City's sultry breath breathing in me ear, seducing me, welcoming, banishing all me fears. She wrapped me round her middle finger. I was waving to the world, dancing at the mud club with those ice cube flavoured girls. America, I needed you. America, you feeded me, but me love's the one I should have heeded too. America, this is the tale of me and you. America, I was a northern lad, a simple village boy. You sucked me in and used me up like a battery-powered sex toy. America, you've let me be all that I can. But sadly that's not very much, because I'm a weak and simple man. I think that's it, right? Shall I get off here? Shall I piss off?
Alex from Redesign. Bad flooring? I'll be right over. Your contractor did this? Loose tile? Bad carpet seam? Not even a satisfaction guarantee? Darling, you should have gone to Bay State Rug and Flooring. Installation is always guaranteed.
Come see our freshly redesigned store with an expanded selection including Hunter Douglas window treatments.
And we've got to do something about this carpet.
Bay State Rug and Flooring, Groton Street, Chicopee.